Oh, I'm getting sick of this. What a month. It's been brilliant. Exciting. Dying to come on here to talk about all the news. Because there's loads, isn't there? Loads of news to talk about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. It is a new week. So, I'm so excited. Brilliant deadline day this week. What a window. A very memorable one for Celtic, should I say. If you've enjoyed all of those great stories we've brought to you from the start of the window to the end, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. And I'm sure we've got plenty more stories to come in these last few days. I don't know why. I was kind of hoping that I woke up this morning and we'd have something. Like, just even the smallest of stories to start off the week. Since it is, deadline day in 2 days' time. I thought that, maybe we'd have something. Nope. We have nothing. Absolutely nothing. And that's been the story of the January transfer window for Celtic. And I know what you might be saying. Oh, Ryan, we signed Nicholas Kuhn. We made a signing. Yeah, fair enough. We made one. And one of the areas we didn't necessarily need to make a signing. All those positions we talked about, all of those reinforcements and recruitments that we needed, we're still waiting. It has been a majorly disappointing transfer window, and the frustration is starting to take over for Celtic fans. After the weekend's performance, it's a worrying performance, which is kind of came in right at the end of a worrying window for Celtic. Rightly so, frustrations are taking over. And listen, I try to be as level-headed and as optimistic as I can when I come on this channel. I try to keep myself grounded more than maybe some other Celtic fans would. But I really don't blame people for getting their knickers in a twist about this window. I wouldn't go as far as some have. I've seen people on the Super Scoreboard and such suggesting that they're going to cancel their season ticket and that they're not going to go back to Celtic Park and all that. But I would say that we're quite within our rights to be disappointed, to be frustrated. We knew evidently that improvements needed to be made to this Celtic side should we want to win this league title. And for as much as I still think that we are the best team in the country and we should be winning the league title, the thought of gambling that league title is ridiculous. And that's exactly what the Celtic board are doing. The January window was always going to be tough, and I always expected it to be maybe difficult for Celtic to get the exact signings they wanted. And listen, I don't want Celtic to make signings for the sake of it, but there is proof across the road at Ibrox, and there's proof all over the country that people can make signings in January, and we haven't done that. And once again, I can't reiterate the point enough that I don't want us to go and sign pointless project players, as some Celtic fans would call them. I don't want us to sign players who aren't the required quality or standard of what we need. And I don't even think it's the lack of signings that's annoyed me as such. I think it's just the lack of... We've not been sounding out options. There hasn't been names linked with us, and there hasn't been any, kind of realistic targets to kind of thrown in around there for Celtic to sign. Which to me makes me wonder if work is the required work is being done. And Brendan Rodgers came out at the press conference and said there is hard work being done behind the scenes to try and bring in players that we need. But there's no evidence of that. And, Rangers are improving. We're not improving. And we're leaving a lot of things up in the air to question at the minute. So it does feel like a bit of a panic for Celtic at the minute. Will they get things done in these last few days? I don't know. We're going to talk about a couple of players who look to be leaving the club. We're going to talk about one player who has been continuously linked with the club. And whether he signs or not is a completely different story. But listen, I need to make videos somehow. So this is what I've got to do today. I think that, this season ending is going to be the best thing that can happen for us this season. Just getting it done and out of the way. But there is, and this is where, people, I have plenty of, and I get it, there's plenty of fans who will comment in this video, Ryan, you're over-exaggerating, Celtic fans are over-exaggerating, we're fine, and looking at it on the other side of the fence. But I think it's just the same concerns rising again that we've had for the last several years. And you can only mask those cracks so far, you can only paper over those cracks to a certain extent. So when you see the lack of ambition in this window and the lack of work being done in this window, Once again, I don't think it's necessarily the fact that there's no signings coming in that's the problem. I think it's the fact that it doesn't fill anybody with confidence for the summer, because they just think the same story's going to repeat itself. It doesn't fill fans with confidence in terms of the club's ambitions. And it doesn't fill the fans with any confidence that we have the right people running this football club. It's a lot deeper than simply not signing players. It's just the same worrying signs which have held Celtic back from their full potential for, 2 decades now. And that's where the problem lies for me. Not just the lack of signings, it's just the lack of where we're going. I don't see a clear picture at the minute, because Brendan Rodgers is saying one thing but the club are doing the other. And that's where it gets annoying for me. So don't think it's just me complaining that we aren't making signings. No, I just think these same signs for Celtic's problems are coming back up from what we've seen in recent years. And I don't like that. Let's talk about Sidney van Hooijdonk, shall we? His name has come up again in the media the last few days, including his Celtic's name being dropped during Serie A commentary over the weekend. Serie A commentators claiming that a move to Celtic is in the works. I would take that with a pinch of salt. I don't believe that's the full extent of the matters, but Sidney van Hooijdonk does look to be leaving Bologna before the end of the transfer deadline. He has requested to leave the club. We knew that he was planning on leaving the club for a couple of months leading up to this transfer window, and Celtic are certainly one of the teams looking at the prospect of Sidney van Hooijdonk joining. Now, there has been no official contact. The most recent reports suggest that Celtic haven't made official contact yet for the player. However, we are one of the few teams who have been constantly linked with his name since he became available as early as the summer transfer window. Anthony Joseph did give an update on the situation over the weekend. He said Bologna striker Sidney van Hooijdonk is looking to leave the club this month. Celtic have been monitoring his situation for some time. The Hoops are looking to add a striker before the transfer window closes, but as things stand, there has been no contact for the 23-year-old. So that's as far as it goes at the minute. Celtic have been monitoring the situation. They are looking at the possibility of bringing Pierre van Hooijdonk's son to the club. He's someone who I've been talking about for a number of months now in the channel. He's somebody who knows how to find goals. I think he's scored 92 goals in his senior career in something like 180 games, maybe 190 games. So it's a decent amount. He's played for Heerenveen over in the Dutch Eredivisie, of course, Bologna and Italian Serie A, some decent standard of teams. I think he would be a really good option for Celtic. And then, of course, he was left out of the side that faced AC Milan as well. It all but spells the end of his Bologna career. I think that the reports are initially it will be a loan deal wherever he goes from now till the end of the season. But if Celtic were the team to go on and trigger that loan deal, I think it would include, obviously, an obligation to buy the player. So he could potentially come in the next few days if Celtic decide to make official contact. It's all about whether or not we do. I like the look of him, and I have been saying that for a while now. I think he would be someone that's good to bring in. So it just ticks a box. We know we need someone to come in and encourage Kyogo to do better, someone who's better than O as well. I think that Sidney van Hooijdonk could be that option. This was the line of commentary from TNT Sports in the Bologna AC Milan game. He said, Sidney van Hooijdonk is the absent man up front, not even in the squad, with an apparent move to Celtic on the cards. Now, unless they know something that nobody else knows, as I said earlier on, I would take that comment with a pinch of salt. I think that's something that the commentator's probably doing his research before the game, seeing that he's been linked with Celtic for a number of months now, and presumed that a move to Celtic is the most likely. But we aren't the only side who are interested in Sidney van Hooijdonk. The Daily Record went on to say that a number of sides across Europe are looking at him from different countries as well. Sides in Spain, Turkey, and the Netherlands. So there seems to be a number of clubs that are looking over him. There's a mulling of offers, so the Daily Record says. So it's not going to be straightforward for Celtic to go out and get him if these clubs are interested, but there's connections with Celtic, of course. There's connections with his father. So Celtic could bring him in, and I think that he could be a fantastic number 2 to Kyogo. And if not a number 2, who's to say he can't go on to be number 1? Because Kyogo's not had the greatest season, and if we can get another striker to come in and start firing goals, that place is for anyone at the minute. There's a couple days left in the window, of course, so we'll watch if it develops any further. But if somehow the club could snap up Sidney van Hooijdonk and a left back by the end of the window, we have recovered what has looked like a disastrous window. And I'd be reasonably happy with it, depending on the 2 players who would come in. but knowing us, it ain't going to happen. Let's talk about outgoings very quickly, because we haven't done anywhere near the amount of trimming that I think Celtic fans expected to this squad, and I think Brendan Rodgers has spoke openly about that as well. It's not easy to shift players. It's not like you can just let them go financially. There's a very difficult aspect to things, and obviously if a club's not there to make an offer, then it ain't going to happen. Someone who we have been waiting to leave the club is Gustav Lagerbielke. We heard at the start of the window that a move to the Serie A was looming for him, and then it fell through. However, Anthony Joseph yesterday confirmed that move could be back on the cards. This was his tweet yesterday afternoon saying Lecce still want Celtic defender Gustav Lagerbielke on loan before the window closes. Sky Sports understands they're trying to work on a deal for the Swedish centre-back. Lecce would require Celtic to pay a large proportion of his wages for the move to happen. Now, I'm assuming that because wages are such a big part in this, that this would be a loan deal where he returns to the club. I don't think there's going to be any obligations to buy in this situation. On that note, I think the club should just let it happen if it's the only move available for him this window, because what would be the point in keeping him around to not play any football? At least if he goes and plays for Lecce for 6 months, we can bring him back in the summer, we can evaluate his situation, he can maybe bring his own stock up and attract interest, we can make money, or he could play for Celtic if deemed good enough. We should just let this one go through, paid it as much as the wages as we need to for the minute, reassess the situation in the summer, because it seems no one else is coming in for him. And finally, Mikey Johnson could finally be leaving the club, at least in loan capacity. Stephen McGowan has reported that Mikey Johnson could be on his way to West Brom in the English Championship in the next few days if given the green light. That is the words that were used. Football Scotland put that out in an article as well, that West Brom are waiting on the green light from Celtic to allow him to join on loan until the end of the season. Once again, let it happen, let him go, let's end that chapter. And that's about it. A very boring start to the week, and I have a feeling it might be a very boring couple of days till the end of the transfer window, sadly. I would love to sit here and say I'm confident of things taking a sharp turn in fortunes for Celtic, but I've kind of resigned all hope that this is the squad we're going to be going into the second half of the season with. I would love a Sidney van Hooijdonk to join, just to bring a bit of excitement and inject some freshness into the side. But listen, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But for me today, that's about it. I will be straight on here if anything huge happens, so keep an eye out on the channel from now till the end of the window. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.